Hey, what's going on? It's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. I'm glad you came back to check out another video because I just went and did an amazing haul at the comic book and collectibles store that I love to go to. As I've explained in prior videos, I have a good relationship with the owner. It's a family-owned business. He knows that I'm a reseller. We have a lot of things in common, and he gives me great wholesale deals on items so that I could resell them. If you're not interested in comic books, I'm actually not even going to show you what you would traditionally consider as comic books. I'm going to show you some items that are somewhat related to comic books or are directly related to them, but not exactly what you would traditionally consider as comic books, and things that you might see at garage sales, for example, or rummage sales, and sometimes even at estate sales, that you, if you see them, should definitely pick up. So I think there'll be a lot of good bolos here, or things to be out on the lookout for. So take out your notepad, jot a few notes down so that you could reference these things at a later point. Now, everything that I bought today is all in this giant box. Now, this box is big enough to fit pool cues in them. That's actually what this box was for. So that's how much stuff is actually in here. Now, everything that you see in this box was purchased for a total price of $150. Now, that might sound like a lot of money, and certainly it's not a tiny amount, but it's one that is going to wind up being a good investment. I'm going to show you why in a minute. So for any large volume purchase that you buy, the goal of it should be that pretty quickly you should be able to get your money back from a few sales, so that right after that, the rest of what you have is profit. So $150 for everything. And let me take you through some of the items. Now, the first thing actually has nothing to really do with comic books, but it has more to do with kind of pop culture, entertainment, but there are tie-ins with those things and the comic book industry. So that's why you'll see some of these things in comic book and collectible stores. And I think what the best item is that I found with today, I'm not going to tease you to wait till the end, I'm going to show it to you right here, is this. It is the Rocky Horror Picture Show press book, okay? And this is a long, tall item, as you can see here. And this one came out in 1975. I'll bring that up right there, 1975. Now, if you're not familiar with what a press book is, basically what would happen back in the old days is that they would the movie companies would send to the exhibitors who were playing the movie and who are going to show the movie ways that they can promote the movie. So what you would see in here is that there would be examples of different movie posters that could be ordered. So they would just give different kind of options, and so different pages would have, you know, different sizes and things that would be listed. So this was not something that was ever something that someone from the public could purchase. This wasn't something that was in the grocery store or anything. You know, you could see here someone say, all right, well, you know, maybe we want to buy this and we want to display it in our theater or something like that. And it would have more things besides just these different posters that you could choose from here. They also would have information in the back on a synopsis about the movie and about the people who are going to be in the movie. Okay, so you could see that. And then they would also have things called exploitation in them. And exploitation would be ways in which the movie could be promoted to the public. So here, for example, you see where it says exploitation up top. I know there's some glare there, but this is an example of what I mean. And just to read one quick example, it would say something like, Rocky Radio Newspaper Contest. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is a rock and rolling romp that spoofs the greatest horror movies that Hollywood churned out over the years. So here's a radio newspaper contest based on tantalizing trivia about these terror classics. Challenge readers and listeners to register their own horror quotient by scoring 10 points for each correct answer. 70 or over and you're a real monster buff. The 25 highest scores would receive passes to your engagement. So this is, Rocky Horror picture show has a huge cult following. These are hard to find. There is only one of these right now up for sale on eBay, and it's up for sale for $108. So I would probably come in and price this at $99.99 and see where we go from there. But I'm very confident that this is going to sell at a good price because press books are popular. It's from the 1970s. It's from a very popular movie. So I should be able to get about 2/3 of my investment back with just the sale of this one very thin item, which will be very light and easy to ship. And you can see in the back here it has posters and accessories. Because of the very nature of these press books, that they were not sold to the public, there's not many of them around. They're more challenging to find than something that would have been like a magazine about the Rocky Horror Picture Show that came out that people could purchase. So that's one thing. Be on the lookout for these long items. The press books, pick them up for sure if you see them. Another thing that I would tell you to be on the lookout for would be any 1970s, even if it's a soft cover book or it could be a hardcover book that is in some way related to a comic book character. If you see anything from the 1970s or earlier, pick it up, because if it's in somewhat decent shape, you're probably going to be able to flip it and sell it for some good money if you get a decent price. So as an example of this would be this book, and I've actually never held this book before, but it came out in 1977. As you can see here, it's the Superheroes Cookbook, and it's in great shape. You know, you want to look for, is the binding in good shape right there? Are there any significant creases or damage to the cover? And you can see here there's not. Are there any significant major stains? Nope, none. It's nice and shiny. It's a glossy cover. Just flip right inside, just like a regular book, and you will see what year it was published. And you could see there right up top, it was made in 1977. That's when it was published. And in here, you know, you want to look through your tables of contents, and you can see, wow, look at that. We got nice, bright, shiny colors. Nothing's ripped. Nothing's written in. You want to check for that writing, because that could ruin the book if there's too much writing inside of it. Okay, so this book, because it's so rare, this one should easily fetch around $30. So now we got, let's say, 100, got 30, and then let's say this one right here, just as pull out, this is the Incredible Hulk. Okay, now this is also something that has real nice binding on the side of it. The back looks nice and shiny, but this one is, you could just tell when holding it and feeling it, you just know it's old. And you look right inside here, and it's 1978, and it's in good shape. It's in color too, which is, you know, really nice. And you could just see the condition is incredible. So, you know, what basically some guy had this, or some girl had this when they were little, and they want it back. Their mom threw it out or something like that, or they lost it along the way, and they want to get this back to reclaim their childhood. Those are the people who are out there on eBay searching for these types of things. So this, again, this is going to be easily like a $20, $30 book. Okay, so think about that for a second. We've got about 100 for the press book, hopefully. We've got about $30 for this one, and we've got about $20 for this one. So right there is the $150. Now, of course, minus fees and shipping, that sort of stuff. So there'll be a couple other books I have to sell in here to get exactly right up to the $150. So, for example, this is something else I'm going to tell you to look out for. Forget anything about comic books for a second. I want you to write this down and make sure you're aware of it. This right here, that little symbol that says TSR, make sure you know that. TSR. It is a company that makes role-playing games. These are fantasy-based games. People roll dice or they use cards, and they have these little booklets that tell them all these different rules that are inside of it. And generally there's a lot of tiny, small font. There's pictures in it, and there's lots of instructions and rules, and sometimes on the front of it it'll say something like Judge's Book. And the older, the better for these things in terms of how much you could flip them for, how much money you can make on them. So this one, I believe, is from 1986, so 1980s, 1970s. I mean, those TSR books are great. So, you know, this one right here, probably, again, around $20 book. right here. So, and again, just look for condition. Sometimes with these, they have writing in them because the people who are playing were writing in them, and if there's too much writing in it, it might make it, you know, much less valuable. But depending on what it is, you could still make good money on them. The ones that I would really tell you to look out for are any of these older ones that say Advanced Dungeons and Dragons on them with the TSR symbol down below, or Dragon Lance is another one to look out for, which is separate from Dungeons and Dragons. Those could sell for $70, $90. I sold one last year for $90, and it was actually damaged. It had stains on it, and it had writing all inside the book, and it still sold for around $90. It was a Dungeons and Dragons one. So definitely pick them up. They are hugely popular. So TSR is one of them. The other one you want to look out for is a company called the FAFSA Corporation, FASA. They make these role-playing game books for example, for like Star Trek and some other types of science fiction ones. This one is called Shadowrun. This is about a $15 book right here. You know, easy every day. So look for FAFSA. Again, these are role-playing game books, and you can see inside they'll have all these things about points and combat assignments and things like that in terms of how many points are going to get allocated to different players, and there's lots of detailed rules of engagement and lots of tiny font. And you'll see these black and white pictures. That's how you'll know that's what this is. You'll see all these pluses and minuses and points and tiny font. You know, sometimes there's some color inside, like this one here. There's a few pages that have some color, but for the most part, most of these books are you know, are black and white like this, and just, you know, very detailed in terms of the rules and stuff that they have. So definitely pick them up if you see that, FAFSA or TSR. Another thing is if you see any role-playing game books that, or game books that are older and that have a popular theme involved, pick them up. So for example, this is James Bond 007, and it says Q manual. So this is a manual for playing a game related to James Bond. And as you can see in here, if you look it up, it has all these different types of weapons and stuff, and it has rules and descriptions associated with it for people who would play this game. Now, yes, there is a game associated with it, but you don't have to have the whole game. I mean, sometimes someone has the game, they just don't have the manual, or someone is collecting the manual. Now, it's okay with these books, by the way, if you have a few pages that are loose or anything like that, just make sure you describe it in your description section. That's not uncommon with these role-playing game books, is sometimes the pages will be loose inside of them. That's all right. Just make sure you describe it in your listing. So, you know, again, probably like a, you know, $20 book or so, but all these $20 books add up. This is another example. I actually can't find an example of this online recently. They're actually pretty rare. This is an older series. It's called the Daredevil Adventures. Not to be mistaken with Daredevil, the comic book character. This is just something called, it's another type of role-playing game, and it's made by a company called Fantasy Games Unlimited. And it's in, you know, these are just like little thin books, but, you know, you put these together as like a little lot, and you probably sell them for $20, $30. So again, these just add up. They're quick to put up, they're easy to ship, they're light to ship for the most part, and if they are heavier, you could easily just put these out media mail. They are just regular books. Even though there's comic related material in it, it's okay, you can still send those out media mail. Something more modern that you should definitely write down, because you might see these at garage sales, just pick them up if you see them. There is a comic book series called Saga, and it is one of the top selling comic book titles around, particularly the trade paperbacks, which are collections of several comic issues into one of these books. So this is what it looks like right here, Saga. Even if you could just pick up a few of them, or just pick up one and add them together later on the side they'll tell you the number. So this is, for example, you can see here 3, 4, and 5. Don't worry about if you don't have 1 and 2. Someone will just buy 3, 4, and 5 because they already have 1 and 2. So you just have to wait for that particular person who has 1 and 2, who needs to get 3, 4, and 5. Boom, I've got them ready for them right there. Easy money. They're going to sell really quick, really easy, and it's going to be a nice turnaround. I did a video recently about posters and comic book posters, and I was showing you how I was flipping those easily for $25, $30. I picked up 3 today that are the same exact ones, so I'll just show you what one of them looked like. This is a modern one. The ones I showed in the prior video, like the New Gods poster, they were older ones. But this one here is really neat, and I'll tell you why. Someone is going to love to put this in their man cave, because what it does is, even though it's a newer poster, it's huge, it's in mint condition, and it has a vintage look to it, because what it does is it basically reproduces the Avengers comic book first issue. And so it's basically the cover of it, and someone will want to frame that, you know, hang that up in their in their man cave somewhere. And the other advantage of this one is that it is double-sided, so really cool. They might want to show that part off too, and so that's great. You know, just another added selling point for it. And you know, the cool thing about these too is these fold up really easily, as you can see. So just fold them easy. They just roll up right like that. So all I have to do is I just got to slide this in between 2 thick pieces of cardboard, put it in a mailing envelope right here, and I'm all set. First class, easy, no problem. I haven't priced out and looked up what the comps are on this, but you know, this could be another $20 poster, so you know, or maybe more. So 20, 40, 60, 3 of them right here, maybe. I don't know. I got to check the comps, but I know it's definitely going to sell. So no problem there. Even worst case scenario, let's just say it was 10, 20, 30, you know, easy. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, I've told you about that before, so I'm not going to go in a lot of detail about it, but this one, just a couple quick things. This one right here, you see it has the wrapping on it right there. Okay, it's got the original covering on it, so just sometimes they made these books where you'd actually have to rip it open to get what's inside. So if you could actually get one of these that have the actual wrapping on the outside, you could see right there, you'd actually have to pull this open. That makes it much more valuable. People want to buy that, so it was never open. So you could get that. Also look for this. This says Loot Crate exclusive on it. You'll see that on some comic books. So that's exclusive to that company. Loot Crate is a company that sells all sorts of comic related accessories and stuff. And they're very popular with the younger generation, and so whenever that name is on something, definitely pick it up. And of course, you know I'm going to mention this, if you've seen some other videos, Deadpool, this guy here in the red, anything with Deadpool on it sells for high money, and anything with Spider-Man on it sells for high money. And particularly if you have this series, Spider-Man and Deadpool together in one, that's also going to do very well. So I pick them up whenever I could see them, and I make little lots out of them. Few more things. Mad magazines. If you could get Mad magazines from the 1980s or 1970s, pick them up. You might only find like 1 or 2 of them, but pick them up like this here. Okay, this is from the 80s, but then, you know, they'll tell you right up here in the corner what year they're from. So this one here, July 1973. Pick them up. You'd be shocked how much these go for. I mean, I've put lots together that I've sold for $100, and there's not even, you know, I don't know, maybe like 15 and a lot. So depending on how old they are, you could get them going back to the 1950s. But the older they are, the better, and the more they're going to sell. But just pick them up. Even if you only see 1 or 2, then the next time you go to garage sale, you pick up 1 or 2, and you just keep adding them together, You make the bigger the lot, the more money you're going to make out of these. These are guaranteed money, guaranteed that they're going to sell. No problem. Okay, moving on to a few other things here. This is something, you know, comic books and comic book collectors, they love monsters for the most part. And you're probably familiar with Godzilla, which was a Toho series, but Toho also made another science fiction series that had to do with monsters, and it was called Ultraman. And that's Ultraman right there. And he fought all sorts of cool monsters. And this is some sort of promotional packet that was made in Japan that I found. And you can see inside it has all sorts of materials that are related to the series. And so I'm just going to do a little bit of research on this and put this online. Hopefully it's pretty rare. I haven't looked it up yet, but it's going to be a guaranteed seller, guaranteed money in my pocket. Ultraman, again, very thin paper products. Don't overlook them. I mean, they're easy. You don't have to iron them. You don't have to wash them. You know, unlike the clothes, if you're doing clothes all the time, it's a great way to diversify your business with these paper products, and it's just so easy. They're easy to photograph, easy to list, easy to find comps many times on them, and find out a reasonable price. These are just a couple random things I bought to just add to different lots of mine. So Spider-Man, anything Spider-Man, I pick it up. I bought a big lot of Justice Society of America comic book trade paperbacks, so I just picked up another one. And this is just some kind of random weird comic book that I looked up that has sold in the past for like 15, 20 bucks. So I just picked it up because it was in good condition. Okay. This one here, this is just a little paperback book, and you might not know this, but the comic book companies, they also found all sorts of ways to market their comics. In addition to just the traditional comic book format, they sometimes put them into trade paperback, not trade paperbacks, but actually these were kind of like the trade paperbacks back in the old days. So this is from the 1960s, I believe, if I open this up, and it's in great shape. It is from 1966. So, you know, this is probably like a $10, $15, $12 book, maybe $13 book. Just this one little thing. So, last thing I'm going to show you, and this whole entire rest of the box here is filled with these. There's 51 of these in here from all different series. So this is what the bulk of the box is made of. But these are called Manga Books, and if you have not heard of Manga Books before, you definitely need to know about them. You're gonna come across them, I guarantee you, at garage sales over the summertime and over the spring and over the fall. The way to identify them is very easy. One, they traditionally are going to have some type of Japanese author on the side. So, you know, you can see that here. I'm just gonna bring that up to the screen there. There you go. So you can see there. Japanese authors right on the side there. But here's the dead giveaway, okay? This would look like that this is the back of the book, right? Because you see there's the UPC. But it's actually the beginning of the book. With Manga Books, you read them from the back going forwards, okay? So you would actually start here, okay, and just move forwards like this. And they're pretty much all black and white animation inside. Just like that. See, if you took the front of it like this, and then you tried to read it, you wouldn't be able to read the book because now you'd be reading it backwards. So the front is really the back in a manga book, and the back is really the front. So when you see these, as long as they're in good shape, and you can see here, you know, there's no significant damage here, there's no big dents, there's no big creases, they're nice and bright and shiny, the pages are not creased, they're not ripped. Pick them up, you add them together into lots. Even if you have different series, and the series are on the side, like this one, for example, is called Orphan. Even if you could mix them together, and people will buy lots of mixed books from different manga series that they want to have. The price is going to vary according to the title. The one that you really want to look for the most is called Naruto, Naruto, Shogun Jump. I just sold, for example, 9 of those that I had, and they were in the middle of the series, like 28 to 36 or something, and I just sold them for $34. And they don't cost much to ship out because, again, you could send them out media mail. They also sell them in, you know, some popular titles that you might know of, which would be something like Legend of Zelda. So I have those in here somewhere. So, like, for example, you know, you can see here, Legend of Zelda, you're all familiar with that famous comic book series. But they also make them in the form of a manga book because Nintendo is very popular in Japan. So they make those over there. So, you know, and the numbers are typically on the side of the book. And so, you know, for example, over here, you know, it'll say 3. Let me just put them in order, actually. So 3, 4, and 5. So you could just sell 3, 4, and 5. So overall, what I'm going to tell you is there's hundreds of dollars of material in here that was sourced for $150. I should get the $150 back after selling about 3 or 4, maybe max 5 of the books, and the rest of it's all going to be profit. So keep in mind, you can make a lot of money with this stuff. Don't just stick to one particular item. Don't just stick to one particular category. Diversify your items a bit and you could get some other things. Oh, one other thing. This is a little bit adult oriented, but I won't show anything that's inappropriate. However, just some extra things that were thrown in here were some, they make these, they're considered adult oriented comic books, and I'm not going to show you all of them because some of them are a little racy, but there are books that are made just for adults, and inside there's mature content in them, so those can also sell as well. If you're going to sell them on eBay, there is an adult oriented section on eBay, or if you're going to show anything that has any kind of explicit material, you do have to make sure that you black it out and modify your photos, because you don't want to get banned from eBay and put in eBay jail. That would be a bad thing, so you do have to be careful. So anyway, so if you like this video and you got some good ideas, please make sure you hit the like button. Please make sure you stop by and join my Facebook group. It's the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The link is down below. Come check it out. Come join. Hit the subscribe button if you like this video. That tells me that people are enjoying the content and want to see more stuff. Make sure you add a comment down below. I'll see you back at the next video. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.